The most inclusive group of people. Let's get it.
About this sign, what are your thoughts about this? Do you agree with it at all, or what are your thoughts on this?
I think that kids don't have like the neurological development to be able to make a life-altering decision.
That's true.
I'm more well versed in like testosterone placement therapy and whatnot. I'm not so sure on like the estrogen and what that can do, but those things are like crucial when children develop. Just the fact that kids can get that nowadays, it's mind-blowing, you know?
You ever express those views on campus?
So I used to work here, actually. Sometimes I would talk about my opinions and whatnot, and I was let go. You know, I believed in free speech.
He was let go. Oh, wow. That sucks.
And whatnot, and I would talk about, you know, my views on, you know, fat acceptance and whatnot, and how I think that could be destructive to one's health to be accepting of, you know, an unhealthy state of body. I would have like conversations and whatnot, and eventually that I built like a reputation against me in a place that kind of has an agenda.
Yeah, see, people say that this is really uncommon, but it's true. It's true. Yeah, I saw a video a few months ago about some lady who was in charge of like hiring workers, and she made it a mission to specifically avoid hiring people with right-wing views.
I'm a recruiter. It's a small industry. Freedom fighters. Recruiters talk. And recruiters, like the majority of Canada, don't agree with you. What that means is that if you need a job, you might not get one. If you want to keep a job, you might not get to do that.
Oh, scary!
Oh, wow. So this recruiter just admitted to only hiring people who have a specific set of beliefs. Sounds like discrimination, but okay.
Oh, shiver my tim.
Right? Like, are people not allowed to have different opinions? Like, is everyone supposed to think the same way? And of course, also people aren't allowed to express their views on shirts anymore. There was a video of a very brave young man, and what he did was...
Here's my opinion on this, man. For one, I think work specifically is not really the most appropriate place to even talk about this type of stuff, in my opinion. I think it's a very sensitive topic, and if you are going out of your way to talk about this at work, you are leaving it open to companies not wanting to hire you or companies not wanting to work with you. That's a reasonable statement, regardless of your beliefs or not. But specifically hiring or not hiring someone based off of their political beliefs, unless their beliefs are like radical, like they have an extremely radical set of beliefs, I can see why you wouldn't want to hire that. However, just being slightly leaning to one side or the other, in my opinion, it's a little prejudice to not hire just because they're leaning to one side or the other, because everyone has beliefs, unless you're trying to build a cult of workers. But I do get it. If someone has political, like super radical beliefs, it could ruin the flow of a workplace. And if you're specifically talking about that, it could ruin the flow of a workplace. But just saying that, no, your beliefs are this, we're not hiring you, I don't agree.
He wore a shirt that said there are only two genders. He faced some punishment in his school.
I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. I was taken out of gym class to sit down with two adults for what turned out to be a very uncomfortable talk. I was told that people were complaining about the words on my shirt, that my shirt was making some students feel unsafe. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. What did my shirt say? 5 simple words. There are only two genders. I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school, because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do.
We're out here representing our opinions via rainbow flags and wearing all this pride merchandise and pride flags and Pride Month and all of that. And we're not allowed to wear shirts that disagree with that. People get shunned. There's hockey players that are, if they don't wear their pride jerseys, then they get absolutely bombed. And it doesn't make sense. It's almost like we're not allowed to speak anymore. If we go back to talking about jobs, yeah, people.
I'll just say this, man. My opinions on this, like it was a young man. He looked around 13, 14. I don't know, man. He was wearing a shirt that said there are only two genders. My opinion is that stuff like that, whether it's left-leaning or right-leaning shouldn't even be allowed in schools, period. I don't think political topics, specifically when you're that young, should even be touched in public schools. That's my opinion. I don't think he should be allowed to wear the shirt, but on the other hand, I don't think somebody should be allowed to come in wearing a super far left-leaning shirt. I think schools should be the one place, specifically younger, like middle and elementary schools, where you can go to and feel like you don't have to deal with that. That's what I think. I think no one should be allowed to wear it. And I get it. You're probably like, what about freedom of speech? What about freedom of speech? Yeah, but you're at school. You're at school. Like I said earlier, I don't think work is the place to where you should be discussing your political beliefs, unless you're a friend and you're off work. But that's just my take on it, man. Of course, we have freedom of speech, but when you got to think, when you're in a school or you're at work, it's a different set of rules, and you have to follow the rule set that the school has. I don't think political topics should be discussed in schools, but maybe my belief is a little more radical. That's just what I think. I think it will lead to more arguments than not if they are discussed in schools.
People get fired for not wearing pride pants. People get fired for not using the right pronouns. They're not even considered.
And this is my problem. If you're firing somebody for, let's say this, if a business is going out of their way to fire someone for not wearing something, then that's a problem. I get it. If you don't wear like a shirt, or I say you shouldn't wear shirts or like materials that promote a specific political party. But if a company is firing you because you don't support it, or they're saying wear this shirt and you're like, well, I don't want to wear this shirt, what does that have to do with my job? I think that's a problem, man, because that's not fair to the worker, and yeah, it's just not fair to the worker.
To be hired if they have right-wing views.
Don't you cry. One of the first things you said there was for these children who feel mismatched. What does that mean?
I can't say for certain. I can say what I think it means.
Yeah.
A kid, or let's say a girl, biological girl, really loves to do typical masculine things. Typical, right?
Like
she likes to wrestle, play with trucks. She likes to wear boys' clothes. She doesn't want to brush her hair. She keeps a dirty room. She likes watching wrestling, right? Typical boy stuff like that. And then maybe she feels that way for so long, where she's like, well, if this is what it means to be a boy, I feel better doing this way.
It's almost like we've forgotten that women can also be masculine, and some men can be feminine, and that's okay. There's always exceptions to everything, and that's really important to understand. Yes, there's a general rule for things, and there's also exceptions to those things. Most women are feminine and they showcase feminine traits, but that doesn't mean that all women are feminine. There are masculine women. You're gonna be the breadwinner of the relationship. You're gonna be, you know, on top in the bed, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be looking for a feminine man, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're the opposite gender though. You can be a masculine woman, and that's fine. To completely change yourself, to take hormones that go against what your body is designed to do, is lethal to yourself, firstly, and secondly, destroys your relationship with your parents and your friends, and can potentially ruin your romantic life. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into this, but there's some trans surgeries that are incredibly gruesome. Some surgeries do this. They dig out the flesh from your forearm, they dig it out and place it in between your legs as a penis. You just got flesh from your forearm placed between your legs, and you call that a penis.
Okay, that's
explain.
I did not need to know that, man. I did not need to know that. I don't really have. Here's my take on this, man. I really don't know enough about any of that to even form a real opinion. However, I will say, like, I don't know, man. I don't know enough about it, bro. I'm gonna just leave it there.
And how nature defying and evil those operations are. And if you've seen the pictures of those, you're gonna completely agree with me.
When I grew up, we kind of got away from all these sexist, regressive stereotypes, and our girls could be tomboys, and we told them they can be whatever they want to be when they grow up. And we got away from all this, and now it seems to have come full circle, where we're telling kids that just because they don't conform to society's standards of the stereotypical behaviors for their sex, that this must mean they're trans and they need to alter their body.
Would you like to have a conversation?
Yeah. Because it feels like...
Really quick, I think you just shouldn't talk to them and ignore them because they're just pieces of who aren't going to listen to truth.
Well, that's not very nice to you. Nice of you to say.
Me personally, I'm very strong on the family. I think I think topics like this, and I've said this before, when schools would put like explicit books in the schools and they're pushing kids to read more, learn more about this, I don't even think this is the school's place. I think this is the family's place. This is your family's place. If you want your, like, that's what I think, man. I think the family should be able to control some aspect of their child's life. If you're paying for the child, if you are raising the child, this is to your discretion, in my opinion. I don't think this is a public thing. I don't know but I need to learn more about it. I don't really even understand the whole concept of it, but as of right now, I'm like, this is more so a family gets to decide what the child does. A family gets to decide what the child learns. That's my take on it right now.
Wait. The that you promote ends up with people dying because of it.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Because
That's a
let's
big deal.
talk about that.
Let's discuss that.
like because you promote like this hate towards people like me and other trans people, and trans people get murdered because of the hate against them. So it's not just like a free speech thing. It's
Do
that
you know what the murder rate of transgender people is?
Oh my God,
Let's talk about that data, because that's a claim that you'd make, and I'd like to explore that with you.
Okay, well, you know what? Off. Just off. This is harassment.
Holy shit. Huh? So when people come, they come and say, yeah, don't talk to these guys. They don't know shit. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just terrible people. Don't even allow them to converse with you. And it's just like, if you're so sure that what you guys do, your jobs are killing trans people, and that's huge. That's a huge claim. She has no idea how many trans people actually get murdered. From what I remember, it's well below 100 in like a year. If I find the stats, I'll put it up. But all right, so I've been looking at the stats, and I've got y'all better appreciate this, because I'm putting in the work here to bring you some information.
What you want some?
The US murder rate in 2022 is kind of hard to look at, honestly, but there's a nice graph here from the New York Times. The general US murder rate hovers around 4 to 6 murders per 100,000, okay? 4 is being really generous. It's never hit 4. Let's just say for the video, let's just say 4. For the sake of the point here, let's just say it was 4 per 100,000. So it's gonna...
Topics like this, to me, it's like, they are so personal that it's like, unless you know a lot about it to where you can make an opinion, and that's one thing, or if you're religious, obviously you're going to have your religious beliefs. But if we're talking about the mass public, what I think is that if a decision is not like completely harming somebody, like it's not life or death, then it's the family's decision. I don't think schools should be involved in it. I think the family should have at least a say in what their child does. That's what my personal beliefs, man. I'm gonna finish this video right here. Y'all can go watch the rest, man. They're saying, like, I don't know, man. The people in the street obviously disagree with the posters. Yeah, man, it's all up for debate. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. If you have any suggestions for me, any data for me, I'm all open to it, all ears. And yeah, I'll catch y'all.